Okay, so our second tissue type that we're going to talk about, or primary or major tissue type, is going to be muscle tissue. So all muscle cells are elongated. They all contract, so they become short and thick. They all cause movement, and then mostly they are amitotic. Okay, so that again is going to have a different meaning than mitotic. This is going to mean that they will not divide. Can you see my writing? Yep. Okay, so they will not divide once they're mature cells. Okay, where mitotic cells divide by mitosis. So with muscle tissue, when it is injured, then scar tissue is going to form. Okay, so let's start with skeletal muscle. And part of the reason for that is that when you think muscle, this is the type of muscle that you tend to think of. But you have two other types in your body. Skeletal muscle is just that. It makes up all of the muscles that are attached to our bones and that are going to contract, shorten and contract to cause movement, to pull on our bones in order to move you around your day. So think about the fact that when you stand up out of a chair, you've got muscles that you're going to work to pull on your bones to allow you to do that. And as you walk down the hall, or whatever the activity that you're doing is, even if it's just wiggling your fingers, for example, that skeletal muscles are acting on bones to move your body. Okay, so this is the only muscle type that's under voluntary control, so you have to think about it in order to cause a skeletal muscle to contract. Okay, this type of cell is different than other cells. It's multinucleate. The cells are cylinder shaped, so I typically tend to just say think of a drinking straw, okay, or think of an unsharpened pencil, and that along the length of that drinking straw or pencil that there are stripes or striations. Okay, so you have to know the word striated, and then these contract rapidly in order to allow you to move. So here's what skeletal muscle looks like. This is obviously a larger magnification on the right compared to on the left. So there's your stripes or striations. There's one nucleus, that's another nucleus, for example. Okay, and we'll learn some more about the stripes or striations. And again, you got to know the word striated. I'm just saying stripes so you can kind of get used to it. But we'll talk about the difference in those striations eventually when we get to the muscular system. There's a nucleus, there's a nucleus. Okay, so again, we're picturing just a pencil or a drinking straw lined with striations along the length. Okay, these are your typical muscles, your biceps, your triceps, your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings. Okay, so then smooth muscle, this is going to have a different shape to it, not just that of a long pencil. For example, it's what's called a spindle. So a spindle is fatter in the middle and tapered at the ends. Okay, so that's a spindle-shaped cell. Okay, so again, tapered at the ends, fatter in the middle. Single nucleate, or smooth muscle is single nucleate. It's involuntarily controlled, so you don't have to think about this. So, for example, you eat food, but then as you're digesting that food, you are not consciously thinking about, okay, my food needs to move from my esophagus to my stomach, to my small intestine, to my large intestine. You don't think about that. So involuntarily controlled. It's going to make up our digestive tract. It's also going to make up the urinary tract, like your urethra and ureters, for example. It's going to make up the urinary bladder. It's going to make up part of the female reproductive tract and male reproductive tract as well. Okay, it is always one of those tissues that when you're looking at pictures, it's really just kind of hard to tell sometimes what's going on. We're looking at an actual microscope slide. So your cells are running vertically in this region, for example, because you can see the long nuclei. Okay, that's a nucleus, that's a nucleus, that's a nucleus. Okay. The third type of muscle tissue is cardiac muscle. It's only located in the heart. Okay, it's the only place in the body that it's located. It is striated, just like skeletal muscle is. The striations are kind of hard to see in this particular picture. I can tell that they're in this region really easily. just because I know what I'm looking at, okay, but you may have trouble seeing the striations in this one. If you did a quick Google search right now, you could probably find some better pictures than that. The cells are branched, okay, so they're interconnected, and so you can see some branching there, some branching here, some branching here, and then they have also what are called intercalated discs, which that's what that little arrow is pointing to. Okay, so we'll just connect those. So intercalated discs are little junctions between the cells that are going to allow for really rapid coordinated contraction of cardiac muscle. Okay, so that all the cells in the heart contract at one time. Okay, and the ventricles of the heart, let me use that specifically. So the two bottom chambers of the heart, all the ventricles need to contract, the cells in the ventricles need to contract at one time to propel blood in one direction. And so these intercalated discs allow for that rapid coordinated contraction. And this is involuntary muscle as well. And then this last slide is just a quick little diagram, okay, showing you the only place that cardiac muscle exists in the body is the heart. Smooth muscle, for example, is in the stomach. That's a much nicer looking spindle-shaped cell than what I drew. And then skeletal muscle makes up there. That's showing you your bicep muscles, for example. Notice those two are both striated. This is the only one that is multinucleate. This one has the branches. Okay, and then there's some other things that you'll deal with that are some specific differences between those through an assignment. Let me know if you have any questions.